Hello and welcome to the end of week review for the week ending Friday, September 29th, 2017. I'm going to take a look at the results of the 220 EMA Upside breakout system that I also reviewed last week and the week before, so you can check out those two videos to see exactly how I did that. And I'll quickly go over, there's a disclaimer, obviously, which is that I'm not an investment advisor. I'm not recommending any stocks. Backtesting has limitations, and of course all trading involves risk and you need to do your own due diligence. If you missed the webinar on this particular trading strategy and system, then you can take a look at the review, the replay, go to edgerator.com/details.aspx CTX equals 220 EMA webinar, and you'll be able to take a review of that. That's a 1 hour webinar. So let's go ahead and get started. I have the program running. I'm not going to go through the actual running of these templates. If you want to see how to do that, just go and check out last week's video or the week before. But I have the reports here already, and you can tell that the date that I ran this report for is 9/29, so that is for Friday. And I've sorted this by current percent gain. So let's take a look at a rundown of some of these stocks. So I'll bring up my chart here, and I'm going to pop this on the left-hand side as I look through the various stocks. And so we can see that Navistar is currently at 40% gain in this strategy. Last week this was at around 30% or 31%. It was the biggest winner of the prior of last week. Also the best gainer this week too. So you can see that Monday through Friday it's actually had an even more gain. So 10% more in fact than last week. Second on the list we have Micron. Micron almost tagged the exit down here, didn't quite do that, and just as well because it went on to make a nice gain on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday for a total of 27% from the entry. The entry was down here. You see the blue line at the bottom indicates where the entry was. We'll get more information on this whenever there's a completed trade, which I'll take a look at in a second. I'm just going to go down through. These are the currently the trades that are currently still open and sorted by current percent gain in the trade. So we have Puma, that's 26%. If you want to see how many days it's been in the trade, just scroll over to the left here and you'll see bars since the buy. So this is a 20-day trade. We have Rig, Transocean, that's been in a trade for 19 days. We'll come down through the list. We'll see Gap, still in a trade. So these are all nice trades. This trade has been in for quite some time down here, so let's take a look at how many bars that's been in. 65-day trade at 21%, and we'll come down through the list. So we've got some nice healthy gains in these stocks, and we've got some that are open still that are in negative territory. They never go down as far as the gains go up, because the system actually gets you out. It's trying to keep you into trades that are trending. So this is currently the worst performing of the open trades. You can see what happened. There was an entry fired here on this bar that I'm pointing at here. There was an entry fired, and currently it's still open. It hasn't tagged the exit yet, but it is lower than where the entry was. So anyway, as I said before in the previous videos, this is what I would call a bare bones system, trading system. You can apply your own flavor, if you like, to entries and exits, but this system is, I'm just following this based on the rules of the system, and these rules were published in 1995 or somewhere around there in Stocks and Commodities magazine. There's a link to the article on the EdgeRator blog if you want to go and check out the article. And if you're not a subscriber to Stocks and Commodities magazine, you can buy individual articles for a very small fee, something like $2 or $3 per article. Anyway, all the open trades, it all looks good for this week for the trades that are currently open. Let's go back to last week and see what happened to the trade. So I've already ran this. As I said, I'm not going to run it again this week, but I have the trade list up here, 9/29. That was actually Friday. So let's go to 9/22 and take a look at the trades that I talked about last week. Remember I said NAV last week was at 31.5%, now it's at 40%. And now the annotation is pointing to the prior week, 9/22. Whenever I click on something in the report, the event bubble is going to point to the bar that I ran the report for. So it's really clear that you can see the individual bars that are triggering events. So we'll go back, we'll just scroll down through the list, we'll find trades that are stopped out here. You'll see that EMES got stopped out. This trade had a fantastic day on Tuesday and then had a terrible day on Wednesday. Actually got stopped out for a loss for the week, but it's still a gain since the entry. The entry was down here and the exit's up here. So scroll down through some of this. This was stopped out too, also stopped out. This is still in a trade. Gap, as we saw before. Alcoa still in a trade, made more gains this week. Micron, as we saw before, it did not get stopped out. Threatened to get stopped out, but didn't quite make it. And has gone on to make some nice gains on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So on and so forth. So we can go down through all of these trades that were open at the end of the prior week and see what they have done this week. So that's one way of doing it. And what I also like to do is just run the simulation so we can actually find out all trades that have exited this week. It's not until a trade actually exits that you can realize the profit. Otherwise it's all theoretical. It's just the stock price at the time, but it's not money in your pocket. You don't get money in your pocket till you actually sell the trade and get the money. So let's take a look at the report for trades that exited last week. And again, if you want to find out how to run this report, take a look at last week's video. I did go through the details of that. Basically, I've run this for all trades that are exited last week. So that was from 9/25 through 9/29. Let me just verify those dates are correct. So yeah, 9/25 was Monday, 9/29 was Friday. So all trades that exited last week are listed in here, and I've sorted these by profit and loss percent. So this was the best trade that exited last week. 17% gain. EWZ, VNet, as I said, that did exit for a profit of 16%. Shopify, 15%. ABBV exited at 15% also. LABU exited at 10%. Unfortunately, it tagged the exit and has since gone on to make even more gains. That's just kind of the nature of trading. Sometimes you get stopped out and stocks turn around. Other times you get stopped out and they sell off. So anyway, it's a protective stop, and that's what happened. But you can see that actually it got stopped out here, but if you look at the blue line at the bottom, it's actually fired on Friday another entry based on the rules of this system. So it's another trade has been initiated in LABU. Okay, so we'll just go down through this list. We see how they looked. Some of these look quite nice. Obviously I've sorted by percent gains, so we're looking at the best ones first. Let's take a look down here, and we'll go through some of the negative trades. Less than 1% loss in these. Coming down through the list, about 1% loss in these, and then we'll get down to some of these that have like 2%, and the worst one that exited was a 10% loss. How did that happen? The system is supposed to limit your losses, and it happened because the entry was actually quite a ways above the 20 EMA. So there was potential for a loss, quite a large loss in this trade, and it did take a loss of 10%. Just basically, since the entry fired, it just sold off and tagged the 20 EMA. But what I've done here is I've added up all of the P&L figures, and we can see that we have a positive number here. Don't worry about the actual number, that will depend on how much money was hypothetically put into each of these trades. But they're all done with the same amount of money per trade, and it ends up at a positive figure. And unusual actually with this system is that there are more winning trades here than losing trades. Normally in a trend trading system you'll have more losing trades than winning trades, but the winning trades will be much higher percentage. So this is a kind of unusual week and a very profitable week for this strategy. actually. So that's it. Next weekend I will review again, take another look at this system, and I've also just released the downside breakout side of this system. So it's taking the down trends, looking for things that are breaking down and trying to follow downside trends in the same way that this tries to follow upside trends. So we'll take a look at that as well next week. But the template is there in the system if you want to run it. It's also available in the trial, so you can go ahead and play around with it, and I will do a review of it next weekend. That's it. Thanks for watching. Have a great rest of your weekend, and I will see you next weekend. Bye for now.